the Ohio Republican Congress Judiciary Committee member. Some of his colleagues might see him as a leader in the House and maybe the next Speaker of the House. So very good to see you, Congressman, again.
Good.
Let me talk a little bit about that speakership issue, because, as you know, these ongoing charges by former wrestlers seem to have had some of the wind taken out of the sails in these charges when Mark Coleman recanted some of his comments, and that it was not a case of you hiding something or not knowing or pretending not to know something. What do you make of what he said?
Every single coach, Neil, said the same thing I've said. All kinds of wrestlers have come forward and said the same thing I've said. And the reason they've all said that is because it's the truth. Everyone sees through this story. And so, look, we're focused on doing what the American people elected us to do, doing our job, and doing what they sent us to Washington to get accomplished. That's what I'm focused on. And if I get the chance to lead the House, that's exactly what I'll be focused on. All
right. So when he had said, Mr. Coleman, you know, a star wrestler that you would have had to have known earlier about these charges that the team doctor was abusing these kids, and then recanted it, do you know why he recanted it and why he said I was wrong?
My guess is he just got misunderstood by the press, which is, you know, something that happens on a fairly regular basis. But I don't know.
He said more to the point, and I want to quote exactly, those comments were not accurate.
Yeah, well, because they aren't accurate, and that's the truth. There would have been no reason for any coach, anyone not to have, if this was going on, for us not to have dealt with it. Look, I worked with these student athletes every day, sometimes trained with them multiple times in one day. You want the best for your guys who compete for you, and you want them in the right frame of mind. So if there's some problem, you're going to deal with it. That's plain and simple. So, again, I can only tell you what the truth is, and the truth is every single coach with the wrestling program when I was there said the exact same thing I've said. And so many wrestlers have come forward and said the exact same thing. And the reason they all do that is because it's the truth.
All right. So you don't believe this should be an issue for you, or whether you would be open to leading Republicans in the House?
Well, I think more importantly, my colleagues don't believe it. I've talked to all kinds of my colleagues, and everyone sees through this story. They understand it's just not accurate, just not true, and they understand what I've told them to be the truth. So that's the most important thing. What we're focused on doing is, as I've said before, Neil, we always make this job of Congress way too complicated. It's pretty darn simple. What did you tell the American people you were going to do when they gave you the privilege to go serve them? Let's focus on that. Let's focus on taking on the swamp. Let's help President Trump do that. He's certainly been doing it. Let's help him more so we can accomplish the things that we were sent to Washington to accomplish.
So if you'll just indulge me one more time, sir, did Mark Coleman contact you to say that he was going to recant those comments first?
I've not talked to Mr. Coleman since this whole thing broke. I've not spoke with him the entire time.
Okay. I want to go on to other news developments today. As you probably heard, the FBI has fired Peter Strzok over those texts. Yeah. What do you think about that?
It's about time. I mean, the American people deserve an FBI that's not biased. They deserve an FBI that's going to focus on the truth. Obviously, Peter Strzok wasn't that individual. And I think it's important to understand he just wasn't any old agent at the FBI. He was deputy head of counterintelligence. More importantly, he was the lead agent on both the Clinton investigation and on the Trump-Russia investigation. So you now have at the FBI, Neil, something I've never seen in any federal agency. James Comey fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired. Jim Rubicki, former chief of staff, has left the FBI. Jim Baker, chief counsel at the FBI, was demoted, then fired. Lisa Page, FBI counsel, demoted, then left. And then, of course, you now have Peter Strzok, who was demoted and now fired today. These are the six key people at the top of the FBI who ran the Clinton investigation and who launched and ran the Trump-Russia investigation. I've never seen anything like that in any other federal agency.
You know, Strzok's attorney said that his client's firing was politically motivated, that his texts were unfairly taken advantage of, that they're protected by the First Amendment, and that was political free speech, you say?
I say, come on, this is the guy who said, we'll stop Trump. This is the guy who said we need an insurance policy. This is the guy who thought he was the James Bond of the FBI, the super secret agent man. So come on, that just doesn't fly. The American people understand it. And frankly, what we learned last week, Neil, from these email exchanges between Bruce Orr, a top official at the Justice Department, and Christopher Steele, the guy who wrote the dossier, I mean, this is amazing what we learned last week, where the Clinton campaign hires Fusion GPS to produce the dossier. Fusion hires Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr's wife. Bruce Orr then takes the dossier and gives it to the FBI. It is never supposed to operate that way in this great country. But that, in fact, is exactly what happened. And we got this confirmed just a few weeks ago when Peter Strzok was in front of our committee, and on the third round of questioning, I finally got him to admit, yes, the FBI was getting the dossier from Bruce Orr, whose wife was working for the Oppo research firm the Clintons hired. That's what was going on here, and this is as wrong as it gets. And now the lawyer for Peter Strzok is saying, oh, he shouldn't have been fired. You got to be kidding me. He should have been fired a long time ago, and thankfully it happened today.